1775 café, procedente de pristinas granjas bolivianas de gran altitud y tostado en el soleado estado de Florida. Lleno de sabor y sin woke agenda, por lo que no tendrás que preocuparte de que tus pesos vayan a pedos. No quiero que me woke, solo quiero despertar. Liberarte de la tiranía del mal café en bolsitas y adopte nuestra bolsa de 1 libra por el mismo precio. Porque el tamaño importa. Pregúntenle a mi burro, o a cualquiera que haya asistido a su espectáculo con esa señora en Tijuana anoche.
Using the finest hand-picked beans and supporting freedom of speech and the First Amendment. 1775coffee.com/Crowder is the best money can buy. You use the promo code Crowder for 10% off.
To every citizen who's sick and tired of the parasitic political class in Washington that sucks our country of its blood and treasure.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
November 5th will be your Liberation Day. November 5th this year will be the most important day in the history of our country, because we're not going to have a country anymore if we don't win.
Between now and election, it's a sprint. It's a sprint for the spirit of this country and your ability to choose what you watch, who you support, and the mere ability to speak. The left is constantly engaged in foul play, but their first choice would be to not have to cheat, right? To do it with lies by omission, by using media bias, by throttling searches, right? By flat out censoring searches, as we've seen from Google and YouTube, as we've seen with Facebook and Meta in the past. It's lie, 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 cheat.
We all know who Donald Trump is.
He will be a dictator on day one.
Dictatorship.
Nazi imagery.
Adolf Hitler.
Oh, Hitler.
As I was saying,
and that's why we are gearing up for the election live stream of the century. November 5th, we'll have the live electoral integrity map. No one will have the data that we have on that night to call, dispute states, and let you know everything that is going on across this country. If there is any foul play whatsoever, there's no reason to tune in anywhere else that night. The election live stream of the century.
November 5th this year will be the most important day in the history of our country. And we will make America great again.
The election live stream of the century, November 5th, 2024. Be there with us. Fight like hell. All right, I have to get to it quickly because we had a lot for today's show. Those of you who know, gearing up for the election, we actually have data analysts and access to some data that most people do not. So we're looking at we have an entire show on early voting in Donald Trump's base, but we're actually going to be doing that tomorrow, and it'll be here on Rumble and YouTube. Usually it's just Mug Club on Friday, but we think it's too important. And we couldn't fit it in today because I watched the entire Kamala Harris town hall last night, and so it turned into a concept, just the official Kamala Harris roast. So we'll talk about that. Another fake Trump story about him groping somebody that never happened. And in a shocking turn of events, someone named Mia Khalifa really hates America.
Shocker.
It's because the Iron Sheik wasn't available. So if at some point today, I guarantee you will see this on YouTube, head on over to Rumble. It's a live show, weekdays, 10 a.m. We do this without a net. Tell me, what was your favorite Kamala moment last night at the town hall in her doom loop of having to speak to help her polls, but realizing she can't speak? It was really, really bad. And we'll check in with Polymarket, number 2 Captain Morgan CEO.
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good.
I just assumed your question was going to be how are you doing. I shouldn't assume.
Well, I'm tired because I had that update of Doom on my smart TV last night. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to drive to the office because I know I can watch it there. And then my television in my office didn't work.
Did you never turn it on?
So I ended up watching it on my phone in my zero gravity chair. Then fell asleep in that.
Oh boy!
And then went home after I woke up.
You had a rough night.
Yes. And then this morning.
Then the train.
Then the train this morning. I was 3 blocks away in the train. So, it's way worse. Well, hold on a second. Let me just. Nick DiPaolo is here. Funniest Man Alive Saturday, November 9 at the Bridgeview Center in Ottumwa, Iowa. NickDip.com. Going to be here election night or days. And you can watch him 5 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
How are you, sir?
I'm looking at some timeshare here in Plano.
Yes, very
I got
nice.
a feeling we're not going to know who wins this thing till fucking
Well,
June.
we won't. At least in Michigan and Arizona.
Already.
And Pennsylvania.
Can I ask you a question? Has that ever happened before where they said we're not going to know 12 days for at least 12?
A part of me thinks
don't
that
they
it's
usually just kind of just do it and go, we're not ready yet?
I think it might be a power flex, like when Hitler, used to have people go like, it's all lost, don't even try to fight. I think they're saying like, yeah, we're going to steal it. We know you know that we're going to steal it. We know you know we know we're going to steal it. So we're going to let you know 10 days before we get the results. What are you going to do?
I have an idea. Fuck the election. Let's get out in the streets.
Okay.
Come on.
We don't want to James Carville this.
What did I say wrong there?
No, he said in the streets.
Faggy show this is
He
turning.
said into the streets. He wasn't James Carville saying, we got to hit the street right now and have an armed insurrection and we're going to be in the back of a cop car. Something like that. Someone can let's
Sound
find
like
that clip
Obama.
from Mug Club.
Doing helium.
Chris Tucker version of
It's
James
a-
Talk about an armed revolution, man. All right. Come on. So before we get to does everyone here agree
Yes,
that,
I do.
as a grown man, you can control your bowels? But if you are in a scenario where you are near a bathroom, like for example, you're getting close to your house,
Yes.
you mentally prepare. So I had
You're like, all
my
right.
coffee in the car and I was only a couple of blocks from the office.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, good. And then the train stopped on the tracks and I sat there for 30 minutes.
I don't even have to. It doesn't even have to be my house.
And I started bargaining with God. And
If I got to go bad, I'll bust into a garage and fucking cover somebody's vet.
next to Biden's documents. Those are classified. All right.
Oh, mama son.
So we have it's just really going to be a roast of Kamala Harris town. It's a lot of fun. But first,
Don't go too hard on her. I kind of like her.
he's incorrigible.
They're going to turn that into a GIF.
I hope she finds a lump in her armpit the size of 2 grapefruits.
Wow. Kind of hard to miss.
Don't know if you know this. This woman hates America.
Yes.
Mia Khalifa.
Is that Khalifa's daughter?
Good morning to everybody who is not in the U.S. military. Good morning to everybody who is sitting at home and not on soil that doesn't belong to them, fighting a war for a country that doesn't care about them. I hope you go over there.
But enough about
and
Muhammad.
Get your little brain all scrambled up with PTSD and then come back here and see how much the United States cares about you, Pookie. See how much they care about you when you come back with, oh, I'm so sad. I piss my pants every time I see a falafel stand in Manhattan. Let's see how much the VA cares about you. Let's see what they tell you to do with your little broken brain from going over to fight a war that's not yours. They're going to tell you to try breathing exercises because the U.S. government does
It's not a
give
porn
a
director,
about you
sweetheart.
once you cannot die for them. Once you're done, once you're a shell, they don't care about you. What did I say on Freeway that one time? Yeah, I think that's still stands.
So hold on a second here. This is why this is so off-putting, and you may not be able to quite put your finger on it.
I love pudding.
It's a combination of the really annoying Western white girl voice, like, oh yeah, really hard for you. You have to work for 10 hours a day in the mines. Oh, where they do that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that combined with, and this is quite rare, a little bit of terrorism.
Yes.
Because you're not used to someone like, you can never picture
Yeah.
someone named Mia Khalifa, and you're like, oh yeah, so what do you have to do your suicide vest? No talking, because they beat them. So
You only use a dash of terrorism.
yeah.
You can't use too much.
So she's adopted the worst of both cultures and rolled it all up into one. Of course, this is and I say this without a hint of, she's a professional whore.
happy with her message because some of it was kind of right how we treat our veterans.
Some of it was kind of right. When she's like, "Oh, and you get a PTSD with the falafel," it's like, well, I don't like you.
Let's just say she's not pro-veteran saying, hey, they're not going to take care of you, so don't do it. She's like, you're on foreign soil, you shouldn't be fighting wars, just come home. Like,
well, then her message was terrible.
I
right
believe
for
in free
Kamala.
speech, but that pushes the limits for me.
But that's all I heard was that. All I heard was that our veterans aren't treated very well.
Right, yeah, and that would be
I guess
valid.
I was staring to see if she had any tits. I couldn't find those either.
No, it's hard to stare past the Eugene Levy unibrow.
Yes, that thing was.
Oh my gosh!
I thought that was electrical tape.
Well, she did. Between takes, a gaffer walked up. I think that one's about done. Hey, by the way, speaking of freedom of speech, 1775 Coffee, we are powered by them. Not their fault that I almost soiled myself in the car this morning.
It's not.
1775coffee.com/Crowder. Use the promo code Crowder for 10% off. It's all we use in this. It's great. It's a great company. I think, are they the official sponsor of Rumble?
I don't know, something in there.
I don't know, but it's great coffee. They fresh roast it, good company, and they're not one of those companies that take your money and then give it to Democrat candidates. So that's nice.
They don't like Khalifa either, I don't think. I'll ask them.
Before we get to the roast, another woman is, claiming something. Donald Trump sexually assaulted. Did you see this? Groped.
Yes.
This is the October surprise that isn't.
Oh, Jesus H.
Late winter, early spring of '93.
Well, somebody fell off a cliff.
I was on a walk with
Called The
Jeffrey
Wall.
from his
Somebody was walking you.
on the Upper East Side down Fifth Avenue when Jeffrey looked at me and said, let's go stop by and see Trump. And so we went to Trump Tower and went up the elevator, and moments later, Trump was greeting us.
Ugly and boring.
He pulled me
Great combo.
into him
Absolutely.
and started groping me.
But
He
she
put his
fixes it with these
hands
supercuts,
all over
Farrah
my
Fawcett.
breasts,
Yeah, exactly. She goes in and asks for the Gene Simmons.
my waist, my butt.
Who's that? Is that her on the left?
That was
and
her.
froze.
Well, then Trump should have
And I
ate her
froze
ass.
because I was so
Whoops.
deeply
Excuse me, YouTube.
confused about what was happening because the
If
hands
those
were
stills
moving all
weren't
over
there,
me.
no one would
Yet
watch
these
this.
two men were like smiling.
You know
at
what?
one
That is
another
so true.
and continuing on in their conversation.
How much you want to bet
Not long after that,
the video
a
thumbnail
postcard
includes one of the left images?
Mar-a-Lago
It 100%
was
does.
couriered to my agent.
Look what happens to the woman.
And
She was a piece of filet.
there was a personal message on the back from Donald Trump.
Said I smell feet.
I still have that postcard. And
Oh, you still have it?
It makes
where
me
is it?
sick to look at it.
Why-
That is
why
why,
then? You have
I'm
it.
here tonight.
Ah.
I figured it was time to
Okay.
share this. And I'm ready to win this election. The thought
Ah.
of that monster
And there
being
it
back
is.
in the White House is my absolute worst nightmare.
And now, and there it is. And now it's the broad, and now it's the boodle, and nothing is safe. Name that movie line. So let's walk through this. This woman was raped three
Not
decades
raped,
ago.
not
Sorry,
raped,
groped
not raped,
3
groped.
decades ago. And
Groped by a dick.
only remembers this 31-year-old event less than 2 weeks before the election.
Yep.
And this is the woman with strong ties to Democrats, donated to the Obama 2008 campaign, worked for the environmental group that helped get Obama elected, called Clean Tech for Obama, and now says, we need to win this election. It almost seems like this would have come up before. And now there's also another one. They're saying there's a videotape of Donald Trump with groping a young girl at a fundraiser, but no video has been released. So,
Even with AI, they can't come up with you.
right. So I think this is throw it in the don't care pile.
It's sort of a desperation pile.
Yeah.
I don't believe you. I'm sorry. 31 years later now. If he was a threat to democracy today, he probably was, I don't know, in 2016, also in 2020. Same thing with the general's comments the other day. He was a threat at the time. You didn't say anything there. Oh, by the way, you also didn't expose him and resign.
Right.
I mean, that would have been like the honorable thing to do. I'm going to take a stand against Hitler. Let's go.
You're not taking into account the disparity of power.
For a 4-star general?
I saw a guy blow her up online last night.
Oh.
He did the timeline.
Yeah.
Did you see that guy? She said 1990, whatever the hell.
3, yeah.
Yeah, and Epstein didn't even own his brownstone at that point.
Right.
The timeline was like 3 years.
Yes.
And I love the fact that She starts out by me and Jeffrey Epstein.
Yes.
Oh, okay, now you're trying to pull the moral card?
Yeah.
You fucking with a child rapist?
Yeah. Well, no, what you're failing to take into account is what does strengthen her testimony here is that one of these allegations does forego the legitimate publications to have it published in a gossip tabloid right before the election.
No,
so
well,
that
yes.
makes me, yeah.
Yes, that really is a blow to her credit.
I present that as Exhibit A in Believe All Women? So,
I think Tim had the best point. If those stills weren't there, nobody was watching.
think about it. It's in the last 2 days. Trump said Hitler. Trump said effing Mexican. That one kind of went away. Now Trump groped this person. No, wait, Trump groped this person.
No.
Just get the one silver lining here is it's now just white noise. People don't care. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, fine, whatever. So at least now we're getting a little bit past that where it's just believe everything you hear.
Yeah.
You'll have a certain subset of the population who will, but I think, are you buying it? You can comment below. I think most people now are like, you know what? I believe a lot of women, but I've also known some women like that.
Yeah. By the way, they overreached with the effing Mexican thing because when the sister comes out and says that didn't happen, when one of the witnesses in the room comes out says that didn't happen.
I know.
There's like, oh, great. Another one?
Yeah.
Gone, like the Trump Hitler thing would have been, by itself. But then they do that. It's like, no, you've overreached again.
Is Trump might be the clean... Either he's got great lawyers or whatever.
Yeah.
You could argue he's the cleanest guy ever to sit in the White House.
Put it this way. When she's Epstein and Trump, if there was anything tying Donald Trump to Epstein.
Yeah, we would have known.
We would have absolutely known. Instead, they're like, oh, yeah, it seems like he used to go to Mar-a-Lago. And there's a police report. There's Donald Trump kicking him out and banning him from Mar-a-Lago the second he found out that the guy was a little bit creepy. You ever had someone who was a friend who then was no longer, or an acquaintance, you're like, ooh, I don't really like this guy on account of the fact that I know he locks up children in his basement. Whatever it is, whatever your situation may be. The point is, you no longer associate with that person.
Yeah.
The other people didn't, 26 or 28 flights to a private island. That is what some people would call a red flag. Let's move on here, speaking of which, to Kamala Harris gave a town hall at CNN last night. It did not go well. And it's, we'll get to everything. But this is the theme. I just wanted to put this together in a montage. How many times, of course, the temperature was toned down?
The former chief of staff of Donald Trump, who has told us, Donald Trump said, why aren't my generals like those of Hitler's? Like Hitler, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, has said he is a fascist to the core. The commander-in-chief is saying to his generals, in essence, why can't you be more like Hitler's generals, Anderson? Come on.
Do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
Today, you quoted General Kelly, who said that Trump repeatedly praised Hitler. But there are tens of millions of Americans right now who have heard all those things, and they don't buy it, or even if they do, they're still going to vote for Donald Trump.
So that's the theme of the night. Hitler, 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 fascist. So, hey, everybody, load up your guns and shoot at him, and then dial down the temperature a little bit. Please.
We're back there already.
Yep. Already. We're there 2 days after the second thing.
Rest of the night didn't go any better. So this brings us to the Kamala Harris roast.
I believe Donald Trump is a danger, like Hitler.
And there's not that much to fact check because she repeated the exact same things again. So we'll just be incredibly childish and have fun with it. But we'll also fact check. She started warning us about the bleak future that we all face as Americans.
One has to think about, why would someone who served with him, who is not political, a 4-star Marine general, why is he telling the American people now? And frankly, I think of it as he's just putting out a 911 call to the American people. Understand what could happen if Donald Trump were back in the White House.
Oh, my God. You don't mean record unemployment, average annual salary increase of $4,400 per year, becoming a net energy exporter of oil? Let's move on to the other losers and suckers myth.
Not to mention what we know and what they've told us about how he talks about the military. Servicemen and women. referring to them as suckers and losers.
No, he was talking about your internship. Next clip.
With Liz Cheney, former Congress member who was a very high-ranking Republican. She has endorsed me. Her father, the former Vice President of the United States, Dick Cheney, is voting for me.
Hey, a war criminal. A presidential endorsement from Dick Cheney is like a Surgeon General endorsement.
Yummy.
Anything you guys want to?
I don't. We talked about this the other day. I don't understand how a Dick Cheney endorsement is now a positive thing for a Democrat.
I know.
How in the world is that even possible?
She said she's dated Strom Thurmond too in high school. Dirty hoe bag. What a goo goblin liar.
Robert Byrd.
Yeah.
He came out and he supported me, half of me.
Said, I'm voting for KK Kamala.
Yes.
Oh, well.
And
I love how she tries to rope Anderson in, by the way.
Yes.
Anderson, right?
Yeah. A part of me thinks when you watch this entire thing, they don't want her to win because you'll see the questions from the crowd. They got tougher on her. Like they actually had questions from the crowd that she would have to answer. Of course, she didn't. But here she goes on to talk about, after Hitler, danger, something about unity. Here.
I believe the American people deserve better. And they deserve a president who is focused on solutions, not sitting in the Oval Office plotting their revenge and retribution.
Oh,
Stop!
Nothing.
My erection is now a liability. I thought I knew what arousal was before today, but I did not. Retribution and revenge? I'm going to have scars on my knuckles from too much.
And it's not like he's saying, I'm just going to go after people randomly. He's going to say, I'm draining the swamp, essentially. I'm going after people who shouldn't be in this position anymore. Weaponize the DOJ. Yeah. Why is that wrong to go after people who are breaking the law and weaponizing government against its citizens? That's not a bad thing.
She's like, because that's me. Already.
Biden's right. Biden would have been a better candidate.
Yes.
Even fucking brain dead.
Yeah. Oh, he definitely would have been a better candidate.
Even brain dead.
Well, no, but that goes back to your point. So why is Anderson Cooper being harder on her? They weren't initially.
He doesn't like women.
Girls.
No, yes.
He doesn't like snatcherini.
He would definitely not be harder on her then. I'm just saying.
Wow.
She reminds me of the girl in high school who made him realize he hates himself.
Yes, but I think it's become like Joe Biden. It has become undeniable that she cannot answer these questions. And they absolutely are at a point where they're like, look, we ran this for you for a while. We did like a month and a half of coverage.
Yeah.
Now it's just like Joe Biden. It was undeniable that he was falling apart. It's undeniable she's an idiot.
Think about that. That's the two best choices.
Yes.
A fucking brain dead and this fucking empty.
Well, either way, it's brain dead.
Oh my God. What does that say about the left? You got no bench.
They really don't. They really don't.
Nothing.
No,
you know why?
But he was a Jew and they couldn't appoint him.
They had one. They're like, look, I think you bring a lot of good qualities and could win me the most important swing state.
Yes.
Too many vowels in your last name.
Look, I'm a big fan of wholesale as much as anybody. But, I can't be seen with a Jew. I mean, I was dating this guy, Arafat's fucking nephew.
Oh my God!
All right, it gets worse. It gets worse because then they started taking questions from the people.
So my question is concerning groceries. Grocery prices have gone up quite a bit in the last 4 years. Yeah. And some people blame former President Trump. Some people blame President Biden. Who would you say
no one blames Trump?
Nobody. What a fucking lie.
What would you do to bring prices down?
First, look, product placement for lids. I thought the question would be, hey, do you want anything embroidered on the side? Yeah, can you put something emblem on here that lets everyone know that I'm a raging pussy? Yeah, just put a Kabbalah sticker on there.
Take care of it. The holographic one, please.
So she gave a very prefab answer on price gouging that we have seen exactly many times, and all of those times also did not answer the question.
Part of my background and how I come to it is probably a new approach grounded in a lot of my experiences as a former attorney general, where I took on price gouging. And part of my plan is to create a new approach that is the first time that we will have a national ban on price gouging.
In the midst of an emergency, whether it be an extreme weather event or even the pandemic, we saw it, where those few companies, not the majority, not most, but those few companies that would take advantage of the desperation of people and jack up prices. Yeah, I'm going to go after them. Yes, I'm going to go after them.
I'm taking on, for example, price gouging.
How do you feel about eye gouging?
Every time I'm taking on, for example, price gouging.
For those bad ones, they
Pretending
take
it's
advantage
coming
of
off the
people,
cuff.
especially during a pandemic or extreme weather, and they end up jacking up prices, and
To
there
jack
needs to
you
be
up.
accountability and consequence for that.
I'm taking on, for example, price gouging. I don't know. I think I saw it on sale for $14.95. She just immediately. That's what's so unlikable. It's one thing for someone. We expect politicians when they're stumping. We expect them to have some points. That's the point. Your economic plan. You're going to repeat it. The part that rubs people the wrong way is when she's just dishonest in a way that doesn't. I'm taking on, for example, how do you say deficit? Like, no, you know what, just go to it and then separate it from, your conversation between people. She's not capable of it.
I think this pisses people off, though.
Yes.
I think when she says, I'm going to go after price gouging, she's trying to turn the American people against big corporations. But what she's failing to understand is that basically this makes it to where for you to believe her, you would have to believe that companies discovered price gouging in January of 2021.
No, that's right.
And that is the first time in history price gouging has existed. It is your fault, and you're not taking responsibility. That's what they see.
Yes.
They see somebody going, no, it's not my fault.
Hey,
it's them.
I found a new way to close our company off from half of the market due to unaffordability.
It's stupid.
Let's charge $18 for an apple.
Yeah, exactly.
See how it goes.
Have you ever heard price gouging from? I've been following politics for around 30 years now. Has that ever come up?
But like natural disasters, we'll say price gouging.
Well, but
I'm
talking fucking Kroger's and Publix.
Yeah, and that's what drove things up 20% was a few companies, not most, not a majority, but a few. Yes, a few drove up the entire market.
If Kamala Harris had her way, you would have mobs with torches and pitchforks at the Piggly Wiggly.
That's true.
Exactly.
Maybe that pig deserves it.
You see the price of fucking ceramics at the yarn barn? It's fucking ridiculous.
Sorry.
What a dumb.
And then she goes on to something about. This is funny. There's a question about anti-Semitism. The lady who refused to pick a Jew who would have won her the election potentially, and thrilling response.
Like Hitler.
Oh, boy.
Who has referred several times. We've heard the reports for years.
Quit picking on
Do you
Hitler.
believe Donald Trump is anti-Semitic?
I believe Donald Trump is a danger to the well-being
That's
and
not what I
security
asked
of
you,
America.
whore.
He has said that he's casting himself as a protector of Israel. Do you believe you would be more pro-Israel than Donald Trump?
I believe that Donald Trump is dangerous.
No, that would be your pap smear. She went on to answer. It's a violation of the Geneva Convention. It's like mustard. Yeah, it's like mustard gas. Can't
use it.
It like went on for like 3 minutes, and there was no actual mention of Israel.
I love it.
He's dangerous. By the way, tone the temperature down. It's never okay for political violence. Hitler.
I know that is just.
Donald Trump has done more for Hitler than any president that I can remember in our lifetime. And if she says she would be more pro-Israel, would have.
What you just said has done more for Hitler.
Sorry, no, Israel done more for Israel.
You said Hitler.
Yeah, you said Hitler.
You absolutely said Hitler.
did.
Hit that button. Hit the Hitler bad button. We need the Hitler bad button right now to him. Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry.
You said Donald Trump is, but the truth is, you're right because
I know
Hitler has never gotten more free publicity.
I know.
Than all the Donald
and
Trump.
And people are actually going, I like Trump.
That's going to be clipped. Free. Come on. He's done more for Israel than any president that I can remember
and
in
Hitler.
our lifetime. And she would absolutely have a fire break out in the Democrat Party if she says she's going to be more pro-Israel than Donald Trump.
That's right.
Well, she just said that the guy saying genocide, and she said that's real. What that person in the crown is saying is real. Israel is guilty of genocide. Of course, the media is really careful with that because they know that the Jewish vote is a huge part of the Democrat coalition. And this is the first time where it's pretty fragile because they're not quite sure. When you hear your candidate say, that's right, Israel is guilty of genocide, that might tip you over to the other side. So that's why it has not been getting wall-to-wall coverage. Then, Oh,
don't get me started on
this one is fantastic. She's asked about a pastor, and she becomes a theologian, kind of.
One of the first phone calls you made after President Biden announced that he was dropping out was to your pastor. And I'm wondering, if it wasn't a confessional, if you could say what that conversation was like.
Well, my pastor, Reverend Dr. Amos C. Brown of Third Baptist Church.
You read that on the
It was an
card.
extraordinary day that Sunday when the president called me, and I instinctively understood the gravity of the moment, the seriousness of the moment. I didn't predict or know exactly how that day would play out, and obviously now it's been 3 months since I've been at the top of the ticket, actually 3 months as of yesterday. But I just called him. I needed that spiritual kind of connection. I needed that advice. I needed a prayer. And,
God.
And there's a part of the scripture that talks about Esther.
Williams?
And a time such as this, and that's what we talked about. And it was very comforting for me.
Riveting. I'll take research I never completed for 500, Alex. Oh, Esther, times such as these, Old Testament or New?
Yeah.
The Queen of the Sheba Inu.
No, not even.
Then Rebecca.
By the Esther's a book.
Times as these.
And it's a woman.
It's a good book. I wrote the foreword.
It's a weird, it's such a, like you said, it's a weird way. She didn't do the there's a part of scripture that talks about Esther. No, there's a book that talks about Esther. And the book is called Esther.
It's the Esther
book of Esther.
It's the book of Esther.
Yes. It's the book of Esther's traveling pants.
It's not.
What?
Though.
I don't know.
And such a time as this was to save the Jews! Which you couldn't even appoint to your ticket, lady. Literally save the Jews from being annihilated. I don't know if you know the story.
I didn't know that.
Yes, that was the whole for such a time as this. Go before the king and save the Jews from being slaughtered throughout the world.
Who said that? So Esther said that?
No, Esther's. I can't remember the guy's name, but he said you're there for such a time as this.
Yes.
He's like, yeah, but if I go before the king and he hasn't called me, he may kill me. And he's like, you got to do it to save the Jews.
Yeah, well, it's sort of touch and go with the Jews right now.
She just grabbed the name out of the Bible, hoping everybody knew.
Esther.
You know what I mean? Esther.
You know why? Because she had to pick a female name.
Yeah,
she's like, what's the Esther from the Bible?
She looked down at a law firm card.
Yes. And saw that she never made partner. So then the question came up about praying, and she can't even answer that.
Do you pray every day?
I do pray every day. I do pray every day, sometimes twice a day.
Oh!
But in between washing turnip
The prophet is among us.
I grew up
twice a day.
So
fucking Muslims are laughing their balls off.
She answered that like a dentist asking how many times you floss.
23rd Avenue Church of God, and I was raised to believe in a loving God.
Okay. Hold on. Go back to that pause there because, sorry, we were all laughing at that. Pray twice a day. But then she has to stop herself because she said it like 19 times. If you want, you could tell she wanted to. I was raised in a middle class. She wants it, but she stops herself. She goes, I was raised in a.
Yep.
I grew up. So
you can hear it. Yeah. Somebody shocked her.
23rd Avenue Church of God.
Somebody backstage getting.
I was raised to believe in a loving God.
As opposed to mine, they used to beat kids about the head and face.
Well, the one you believe in, you're testing his patience. We all know what she actually wanted to say because we have receipts.
I was raised as a middle-class kid. And I will never forget where I come from.
Yeah.
I will never forget where I come from.
Boy.
Look, I grew up in the middle class. I come from the middle class. I understand where I come from, and I'm never going to forget that. Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid.
And you'll end with it.
Middle class. I'm never going to forget where I come from. Middle-class kids. One, a daughter of Oakland, California.
Berkeley.
Put the middle class
Oakland.
and working families first. It's where I come from, and I will never forget where I come from. I come from
Where I come from, I blow some mayors and. By the way, born technically in Oakland, lived in Berkeley, and then Westmount, Montreal. It's like someone in Manhattan saying, I lived in Harlem. No, a penthouse on the Upper East Side. I get that the vicinity is nearby, but worlds apart. Nothing about her is even remotely genuine, and she had to stop herself because she realized she'd already said it too many times in this town hall. Please, the most important thing from last night's town hall, is do not become complacent. I know that you think this should be a walk-off. Get out and vote. I know you think that it shouldn't even be a challenge. It almost feels wrong with someone who's...
Really?
You still have a part to play, a very significant role. Her response next to this
was maybe
this is one of those, what is your biggest weakness questions, right? Her answer is an all-time classic.
What weaknesses do you bring to the table, and how do you plan to overcome them while you're in office?
That's a great question, Joe. Well, I am certainly not perfect. So let's start there.
Thanks for clearing that up.
The question was greatest weakness.
What is this, salad?
So I may not be quick to have the answer as soon as you ask it about a specific policy issue sometimes. I'm going to want to research it. I'm going to want to study it. I'm kind of a nerd sometimes. I confess. And some might call that a weakness, especially if you're, in an interview or just kind of, being asked a certain question and you're expected to have the right answer right away. But that's how I work.
Okay, so according to the tally I have here, that now puts the world historical tally at 50 billion women to 0 who've ever answered that question honestly.
Seems
Nick.
So her worst quality is that she studies things.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Which is a good quality in everybody else. That's her worst.
My worst quality is I'm
a nerd.
I'm so... Could you imagine? She would be the water girl for the chess club.
Yes.
If she showed up, there would be an abject panic. No. We want to be a good chess club.
I love a president, by the way. Ma'am, we have about 30 seconds before a missile gets launched. Well, I'd like to do some research.
Right.
And I would like to look into that. I'm a nerd.
Yes.
Ma'am, we don't have time. Yes, but I do.
Here's the thing. It would be fine if you did a bunch of research and you came back and answered. But you do neither of those things. And her answer on past mistakes and greatest weakness, it gets worse.
Is there something you can point to in your life, political life, or in your life in the last 4 years that you think is a mistake that you have learned from?
Black cock.
I mean, I've made many mistakes.
Dump.
And they range from, if you've ever parented a child, you make lots of mistakes.
We said the last 4 years.
In my role as vice president, I've probably worked very hard at making sure that I am well versed on issues, and I think that is very important. It's a mistake not to be well versed on an issue and feel compelled to answer a question.
Question on weakness. I'm sorry. Make that world tally history 50 billion and 1.
Yes.
What the fuck was
to
that?
0 who've answered it honestly. That's one thing that people liked about, I don't know if you remember Barack Obama.
Yeah.
I think he was on stage with, I believe it was Hillary Clinton and John Edwards.
Smoke weed.
And they said, what's your greatest weakness? And he answered first. And he said, my desk is messy. I can be a pretty messy person. Then they go to Hillary Clinton. She's like, I work too hard. And they go to John Edwards. She's like, I care too much. And Barack Obama was like, can I do it again? I didn't realize that was the kind of answer we're supposed to give. And it made people like it.
Yes, because it was a little bit honest at least.
And I still didn't vote for that jerk.
No, of course not. But he could be funny.
Right.
He could be personable.
Yes.
Okay, if I was advising Kamala Harris, and I'm not, I'd be like, okay, mistakes. I don't know. How about helping bail out rioters who went on to commit violent crimes, being the last person in the room and the person in the room to repeatedly advise on the Afghanistan withdrawal? How about casting the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, picking Tim Walz for VP? That's a doozy. Debating Tulsi Gabbard, that didn't go well. Failing the bar exam at least one time that we know of, and having 1,000 cases dismissed because you couldn't handle evidence properly.
No.
I guess that one's not the last 4 years, but that's just me, Mr. Petty.
I think Tim brought up the best point
Yeah.
She basically said it's a mistake not to be well-versed in a topic.
I don't know what she said.
Yeah, she double talked on that.
Yes, a minute ago, she's like, I don't have the answer. I like to go research stuff. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hold on a second here.
my greatest, that's my greatest weakness is I read too much. I listen too much. I care too much.
I'm too honest.
I'm too middle class.
In Oakland.
Can't shake it. Also, I don't know what happened. I don't know why she was being asked a question by Let Himself Go Doug Funny. But his next question was if Patty Mayonnaise likes him.
Oh, always no.
Here's another question, which, should really allow her to sink her teeth into about kind of the nuts and bolts, the specifics of her economic plan. Hopefully you understand why the entire show was a roast of this. Like, there was time for nothing else. And this is the whittled down version.
I would like to hear more nuts and bolts about your economic
She said nuts?
Sure. Thank you, Pam.
Nuts and bolts are on your neck.
First of all, it is the case in the United States of America that billionaires, on average, pay less taxes
Watch, she presses him.
as a percentage
Presses her.
than teachers and firefighters and nurses.
Yeah. I'm talking about hard workers like pound the street, have some success.
You mean prostitutes?
No, I understand, but I want to just
Not really high.
Let's set the scene.
Look,
right?
she's getting upset.
So,
Answer it quickly. She's going to float out of the town hall.
I'm talking here.
Need to pay their fair share.
Okay.
I am referencing that, and I need to reference that because
Here, watch.
sadly, Donald Trump, when he was president, gave tax cuts to the richest, to billionaires and big corporations, which added trillions of dollars to our deficit. So that sadly needs to be said in a way that should be obvious to your point, but is not given what he did.
Right. Hold on. The first thing is nothing you say is obvious. It's nonsensical. What is obvious is the United States deficit has increased by $473 billion, wait for it, in the last 3 weeks.
Whoa.
Well, some would say a lot.
And even
Elon
this next one, this is why I say that I don't, you comment below, I don't think that CNN, I think at this point they want to get some distance between her and them because
they do, but they see that. Look at the way that lady goes, no. I asked you about the economy. I asked you about your economic plan. I didn't ask you about your tax plan. And no, don't talk about billionaires. I've heard you talk about billionaires. Please tell me what you're going to do for me.
Shut up! Let me talk about billionaires.
Yes, and then she goes right back to it.
Yeah. Yesterday she was bragging about, that's why I'm going around the country listening to people.
Oh, yeah.
Then she had a town hall where you couldn't ask questions.
You know that she's not a nice person. You can tell when she mingles with people.
Just a little. That lady just pushed her a little, and you could see the hate in the eyes.
Yeah, but hold on. I'm asking you though. Are our taxes going to? The only thing going up is your cholesterol. Okay.
Okay. You could see that in her eyes.
Yeah. She has never been pushed back on, and that's what DEI gives you. Seriously. Yes. Women have never heard the fucking truth of themselves. Black people haven't heard the truth about themselves in 1,000 years, unless they watch my comedy. Honestly, I hope for the Trump thing that I love the fact that black people are coming around. This, to me, is the best byproduct.
Well, she's disconnected with so many black people. That's the thing. Like, she's not emblematic. She's not representative of the black experience.
No.
And people in the black community, when you look at when they answer these town halls, are in the focus groups, not the talking heads. Let me just be there's a huge difference between the talking heads on CNN and the average black American somewhere around your neighborhood. They're very, very different. Van Jones shares very little in common with them. Congressman Clyburn shares very little in common with them. They do appreciate someone who's willing to listen. And here's the thing, a lot of black, in my experience, and you can comment, if they don't have inherent disdain for success if someone's a male. In other words, there's a reason he was, featured, Donald Trump, or mentioned in hundreds of hip-hop tracks, because it was something to aspire to, and they actually appreciate that someone is authentically successful. In other words, you can be successful, really rich, and be authentic. And you can also be mediocre and inauthentic, as you see from Kamala Harris. So let's continue on this, where she's pressed just a little bit by Anderson Cooper on the $400,000 tax thing.
What you're saying is anyone under $400,000 won't have taxes raised. Or are you saying that anyone above $400,000 will have a tax raise?
I'm saying that there is going to be a parity around what the richest people pay in terms of their taxes.
What I'm saying, Anderson, is I've shit my pantsuit.
Wait. You want parity in percentages, but not numbers? Do you understand that rich people pay the vast majority of taxes in this country? I'm all for parity then, because it would mean a tax cut for rich people then.
I'm not joking. Mm-hmm. I don't think she knows what parity means.
I don't think so either.
I really don't think
she's like, we want parity.
Neither does SNL.
Yeah. I think she has a general idea of the concept, kind of. Anyway,
isn't it like the top 2 or 3% pay half the taxes?
They pay it. Yeah, they pay a ton of taxes.
Like
what she's talking about is a lot of them have capital gains taxes, right? So they're not making income in the same way. It's just a lot of times they'll carry over losses. You could say the same thing about a lot of medium-sized businesses. That's just something that happens if you own and run a business. I mean, you'll have a year where you carry over losses because of timing, when the taxes take place, when the payments come in. I mean, for example, on YouTube, that's why you see so much clickbait in the last quarter of the year, because people start dumping all their ads in Q4, and some people make like 75% of their revenue. In the case of this show, we make zero. That's why we ask that you join Mug Club for $89 a year. Click that button. There is no election stream unless you join. You can at least go mugless for $9 a month. We get $0 from YouTube, but that was parity for you. Did I say that right? I didn't. So then Anderson asked Kamala Harris about packing the court, and she was like, no, sorry, yes, Anderson did. I'm trying to keep track, packing the court. And
packing the fudge. I think this is an audience member.
Oh, it is? Okay. And she answered like, pretty much.
Would you be in favor of expanding the court to say 12?
That's a huge
so each justice has only one circuit court other than Chief Justice to assist in
Terrell
making
Owens is in the background.
more balanced.
Rewind it just a second. Rewind it just a second.
Expanding the court to say 12. So each justice has only one circuit court other than Chief Justice to assist in making judgments more balanced.
Judgments?
Yeah.
Drew Carey wants his glasses back.
Stop it. She was born with the disability of being perpetually annoying.
Bullshit. She was just welding.
And having 2 black eyes.
Look at the Asian guy.
That's Minion 6.
Black Jesus behind her. Then you get the Asian kid. It's beautiful.
It is. It's a wonderful. They got the demographics right. So sorry, finish it and then we'll,
Well, to your point, there is no question that the American people increasingly are losing confidence in the Supreme Court.
Because of
and
you.
No,
in
they're
large
not.
part because of the behavior of certain members of that court and because of certain rulings, including the Dobbs decision and taking away a precedent that had been in place for 50 years, protecting a woman's right to make decisions about her own body. So I do believe that there should be some kind of reform of the court, and we can study what that actually looks like.
But
I do believe. But again, let's just, while you raise the point of the court, understand that, again, in 13 days, the American people will decide who is the next president of the United States.
There's her showing her Achilles heel again, doing too much research. She flew too close to the sun on the wings of too much knowledge. So basically, 12 justices, yes, and the 12 shall be known as the Kamala Apostles. She has, that's worse than I thought it was going to be.
Wow, that got bad fast.
Is that one black comedian chick who's on the CNN comedy show now? I don't know. All right.
You guys do some research in there and see who those people are.
Yeah.
We'll leave it to you.
No, go do some weakness, as it's known.
That's right. Nobody in her life has accused her of being too well read.
Yeah.
There's
That's her greatest weakness. And the problem is if someone touches her pantsuit, she says, I can feel my weakness leaving my body. And then she has to give you an answer.
Is that why she failed the bar exam? She studied too hard the first time?
She went to the bar and got confused.
What the hell is this? Gosh.
When she's holding that mic, you think she sees Willie Brown's dick every time she looks down.
Jeez. Like someone on an island who hasn't eaten in a while and your friend turns into a hot dog.
Yes.
Guys, do you have a white mic, please?
She comes in with like the old, next time it's a white version of Tom Jones, that 70s stick mic.
Yeah.
This is my comfortable.
Yeah. Match Game 75. Gene Rayburn stick mic.
So here she is answering when it seemed like Anderson was getting fed up a little bit. And actually, this is why I say it seems to me like CNN wants to put some distance between them and her. He went through a rapid fire of questioning her on her complete reversal of policies.
What he's referring to, and you point out too, when you're running for vice president in 2020, you were not talking about banning fracking, but
No, Anderson, I pledged that I would not ban fracking.
right, I know you said you would not ban fracking.
Correct.
You had said in the 2019 town hall, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. In 2017, you talked about Medicare for all. You talked about 2019, you raised a hand in debate about if border crossings should be decriminalized. Are all of those issues, which those are not your positions now, are all those issues that you're saying through consensus and getting
This
stuff
isn't what
done,
we
you have
rehearsed,
evolved on?
Anderson.
Well,
Look at that face.
let's take, for example,
Through
the issue of
consensus.
Medicare. My point has always been.
But he didn't,
that
though. He didn't bring up. He
access to
didn't bring up
healthcare should not
Medicare.
Just
You
be
don't
a
cherry
privilege
pick,
of those
you
who can
douche.
afford it. It should be a right for all people.
I mean, you did raise your hand saying in a debate when asked if border crossings
That
should
was
be
your hand, wasn't it?
criminalized, but obviously that is not your position.
I never intended, nor will I ever allow America to have a border that is not secure.
And just finally on fracking, you said you're clear you would not ban it as president.
No, I would not ban it as
Right,
president.
I know you're clear on that.
That was the hardest that she's been.
You're right. They are
think-
embarrassed by her.
I think Anderson Cooper had, well, they weren't really, because he probably doesn't have any angel because he's gay, but two devils. And
That's wrong.
Who knows?
And one of them is going like, we have to get a Democrat elected. And the other one is saying, but we hate women. Winner. So
I bet you he fired off a resume to Fox News last night.
Like, somebody kill me. Do I have to do this?
he's sexting Shep Smith as we speak.
Yeah. Do you know anybody over there that you didn't blow?
You're not there anymore? Huh. Chris Wallace? Oh, you're here too.
We're all gonna
Ainsley,
die.
gross.
This is amazing. Seriously, this is amazing. We're witnessing something.
It gets worse.
All right.
This is the worst. So, the biggest mistake of the night was when they left a live mic and camera on Kamala Harris as she began to mingle after the event with the crowd, attempting to act like a human.
Hi. Thank you for your question. Thank you for the time. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Please.
Do you mind turning around? We'll just do a photo with Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And you know how I feel. This is the thing. about
Watch this.
The Penn and Teller.
This is not a conversion, right? It's literally no one should be judged on any level, and it's just my point is the government.
Now watch, this gets worse.
It is not about ever disputing or criticizing anyone's faith. Ever. Never.
That's something
Yeah.
We talk so much about the right of the woman in those situations, but there's another person.
Right.
And that other person is oftentimes forgotten. Not the government involved.
And that's the point. It's just that the government shouldn't be doing that, So, but I appreciate you asking your question and raising the point.
Yeah, and you have a role as a moral leader too.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll send it to everybody. You want to squeeze in here?
Look right here. And then you can send it to everyone. Look at that.
Okay. Thank you all. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for the question, Jackson. Thank you all. Okay, take care, everybody. Thank you.
It's just the way she says thank you.
Thank you.
Comes across as angry, but that's what you see. Look, that man there, and he was doing a focus group afterward. He's pro-life. He's saying, but he has a problem. I don't know how you're pro-life and you even consider voting for Kamala Harris.
Right, no.
But that's what you could see, whether you agree with him or not. He was saying, yeah, but there is another life. And she's learned how to pretend like she's listening without listening. That's right. And not the government. Well, hold on a second. That doesn't address his point. You should have either not gone to speak with him or addressed his point. The government does play a role in determining whether you can end someone else's life in every other scenario. But he goes, yeah. And you could see him trying to. This is probably a man of deep faith saying, and you do have a role as a moral leader. He's trying to say, hey, abortion all the way up until and including birth, potentially after birth, you can do something. Saying, that's right. Thank you. It was so uncomfortable. She's not able to do the interactions. So this was the entire, I don't know if there's anything else that I missed, the entire town hall. And because this was a major event and there's only 12 days until the election, let's see what happened post-town hall with our Polymarket check-in. Oh crap, it's worse.
Explain to me again why Polymarket is the go-to.
Well, it's not the go-to. It's
what makes it different than the
it's where a lot of people bet, and I know the left will say, hey, they'll say, well, a few people are moving around
Like
a bunch of
FanDuel,
millions of dollars.
you mean?
But it's where people bet. People actually, that's a reflection of how people are betting.
It's the largest betting market.
It's the largest
in the
betting
world
market
on this.
Now, some people say a lot of crypto people bet there, so it's biased, but every single betting market is double-digit spread for Donald Trump right now as far as betting. You cannot, maybe that's the widest one, 20-something points, depending the minute you go and check in. I don't think there's a single one that's less than 13 points last I checked, and the average is about 16 points.
It'll narrow some because it's a money, right? You're looking at like, oh, okay, now the odds are even better for me, and I might make some more money off of this. So I think it'll narrow down. But it's to your point, Nick. It's you look at polling. You look at some of the data that we have that's coming out of like early voting and stuff like that we're going to be able to provide to people tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow an exclusive, by the way. We have some exclusive data on early voting.
That's our team doing it and getting the data to you guys. This is what you basically, when you signed up for Mug Club, this is what you signed up for, this kind of stuff to be able to bring. And you put in the betting with that, and it's painting a picture.
Yes.
And the picture is like, hey, if we show up, we will absolutely win.
Yes, if you show up, and hey, in particular, if you are in a rural area, that's a lot of people don't realize they're very red, but they often haven't showed up to vote in the kinds of numbers that would be needed.
But they are now, I heard. Right?
They are now. And we have an entire segment on that tomorrow, entire show on it tomorrow that'll be available on Rumble and YouTube. Some really good news, but again, take it as, okay, you now have the ability to build momentum. The bike pedals have already been moved, but now you can get going really fast. Do not stop the bicycle at this point. So I know a lot of people think it's a psyop. If you say, hey, there's a lot of good to take away from this. Well, no. You have to acknowledge the wins so that acknowledge, I should say, the momentum so that then you know where to best place your energy. In no scenario is that energy not placed into doing your part to not only vote, but to get other people in your area, to influence people to vote. And we'll talk about all of this tomorrow. But right now, because of the town hall, did you have something else?
No. Good.
Because the town hall, of course, and seeing the Polymarket betting odds, where that's a rough one. We actually have here to discuss it.
Oh yeah.
People think it's not, but it is the real name.
Donald,
father of Kamala Harris, Mr. Donald J. Harris. Mr. Donald J. Harris, thank you for being here. Your thoughts on how Kamala did last night?
Yeah, man, she did just as I expected. Made a lot of sound, but what she said was nothing. I hear she do the same thing with Willie Brown.
Hey, that's your daughter. Let's not go down that path again.
Well, luckily, they had that bad body boy, Anderson Cooper, on the show. But he want no part of that ranking meat.
What did you say? Did you say batty boy?
Batty boy.
What's
you might call it a gay man.
Well, no. Is that what you call them?
That's what we call them on the island.
Okay, and what's rankin meat?
Yeah, man, rankin meat. You know, the pony, the chocho, the coochie, the kitty, the rasta reef, the punash, the pom-pom, the saltfish, the tuni, the punani.
I was serving that at Marley's fucking funeral.
Jeez,
the front.
Okay, this is going nowhere. Thank you for taking the time, Mr. All right, and we actually do have that clip, I believe, of James Carville here on Mug Club, which we're going to be talking.